Why did I leave YouTube? Do you like being an author? Are you single? Hello, it's been a hot second. We're gonna jump right into things. Are you single? Yes, I am. And I have had many an existential crisis about it this year because I'm 34. 34 is an age where most people who are looking have located their significant other. Me have not. My dating anxiety is through the roof. Up there on the moon. I am ill while I am dating from all my anxiety. I have a plan. My next draft is due at the end of June, and my plan is to get back on the dating game in July. And what that means is get back on the apps, because how else am I supposed to meet someone? If you're out there and you think we'd be a great match, please send me your resume. I literally just got back on the apps after a wave of dating last summer, and it sucks just as much as it usually does. Once you reach your 30s, you've reached a point where you're not here for the bullshit. Okay, you know what you want, you know what you're looking for. So if you meet someone on a date and they're not meeting that level, it's just not gonna go anywhere. I only want a partner if it's gonna make my life better. I've had like some okay experiences that always just go disappointment. So it's a frustrating business dating, especially in La La Land. Literally every man who is like kind and decent is married. And you know why they're kind and decent? Because they have a wife that taught them how. There's just things you now know about yourself that you need and want in a long-term partner. And you've learned that from dating people all through your 20s. On that topic, back in 2023, after having a bad wave of the dating on the apps, I started writing my 4th novel, and that is available for pre-order now. I can't believe I haven't told you about this. I have a new book coming out January 1st, 2026. It is called 30, Flirty, and Forever Alone. It is dedicated to all the girlies out there in their late 20s, 30s, and beyond, still trying to find their person. I came up with this title in 2023, and ever since I've just been so excited, like vibrating with excitement to tell all of you about it. It's available for pre-order now. The pitch is like 27 dresses meets crazy ex-girlfriend. We're following a woman as she's on the brink of turning 30. She turns 30 very early in the novel. She's going to all these weddings, and she has 2 back-to-back right before her 30th birthday. She knows about them pretty early on, and 6 months out, she's like, okay, I'm gonna say yes. I'm bringing a +1 to both of these weddings, and that +1 is gonna be my person. I'm turning 30, and it's always been my goal to be with my person by the time I turn 30. And so she really goes hard on the dating apps for these 6 months, and the time comes for these weddings, and she still hasn't found someone. So she's feeling really shit as we open on the first wedding, because she doesn't have a +1, and it's a family wedding, and the whole family knows that she's supposed to be bringing a +1, and they're like, oh, where's your date? And she's just like, it did not work out. And then the second wedding right after it, she bumps into somebody who is single. This is like a book that I think is more fun to go into not knowing much, except for that you can read the description. There's a dash of magic. It's a rom-com. Like, my books are really late bloomer books, and what you don't realize till you start to like move into your 30s is that late bloomerdom doesn't like end. You know what I mean? Like in your high school era where everyone's dating and you're alone, and then you finally, maybe in your mid-20s or early 20s, you find a significant other and you're like, oh, okay, I've caught up. I feel like it's rare that you've actually ever caught up, because now you're in your era where you're dating people for the first time and figuring out what you like, and maybe you get really lucky and you find the perfect person. But I think a lot of us start dating and then like not figure out what we like until late 20s, early 30s. So then you're still behind, because the people who started earlier are like getting married and having kids, and it just continues. I feel like at least the feeling for me has continued. And it's that feeling in a rom-com with one of my favorite love interests I've ever written. It was originally supposed to come out November 11th of this year, but it got pushed for a good reason that I can't say yet, but I'll be able to tell you eventually. And it has a dash of magic. So it's whimsical, and it is an adult rom-com. It has some spice. I love this book so much. I'm sorry there aren't vlogs. There are vlogs at the beginning because I was writing it while I was finishing Attached at the Hip. I was working on 30 Flirty, and then I went on submission with this book. Now it's happening, y'all. It's happening! The link to pre-order is in the description. I would greatly appreciate your support there. Since it's coming out January 1st, I will be doing events the week of January 6th. Save the date, y'all. The week of the 6th events, and the 1st is when it's coming out. I love the cover. It's giving like how to lose a guy in 10 days. Hopefully you're following me on one of my other socials where I post like very often, like Instagram. You won't miss it if you're following me on Instagram at XTINEMAY. Next question. The next question that I got the most is, Christine, why did you leave YouTube? The short answer there is, I don't feel like I left YouTube. I was gone for a year. But what it was that I was hearing from all angles that I should be putting my effort into making short form content and posting that every single day. And the idea of doing YouTube and making content every single day, it was just impossible on top of writing. I have a hard time dividing up my day when I'm writing, especially the first draft. Like I have to just be in it and just keep going. But anyway, I was putting my creative efforts video-wise into short form content. So I do post a lot on Instagram and TikTok, and I even have been posting on Shorts. And I have a second Instagram account now called at Christine Riccio Books where I'll throw anything as well. It was time for me to experiment because YouTube wasn't giving me the output that I needed to tell myself it was okay to spend as much time doing it as I was. Like I love YouTube so much, but the actual platform wasn't promoting my content to enough of my subscribers for enough views to come in to warrant the amount of time. I'm an adult now and I need to pay my bills, and I would love to use YouTube to do that because like this is where my greatest passion I feel like is entertaining, and of course writing as well, but like I need to marry the two. Like I don't like doing one and not doing the other. My lifeblood comes from like making people laugh, and I've learned that throughout the years. When I'm just writing and being hermity, I start to get really sad and depressed when I'm not like on some sort of platform like dancing like a monkey for people, you know what I mean? So much of my joy comes from bringing joy, and if I don't feel like I'm doing that, I start to get really sad and feel purposeless. And that's what was honestly happening in the beginning of this year and at the end of last year, where I was on deadline so intensely with these books, and I felt like I couldn't make content. And not doing that was making me very sad. I love to do things in front of an audience and do events and stuff. I moderated for Kelsey in PGK. Her new novel, Voice of the Ocean, just came out. It's excellent. It's like Dark Little Mermaid meets Pirates of the Caribbean. It's so fucking good. Moderating for her event was so rejuvenating. It revitalized me. It really filled my cup. I came back feeling like very on my game and just happy and excited to live and work and do things. Whereas I'd been struggling for a while to like get my brain to turn on. It was to the point where like, you know, the brain fog comes in when you get so sad and like purposeless. My mental health was down. I love writing the books, but it's so long of a process where you're by yourself with it. And that stretch of time where you're not sure when it's ever going to be done is really hard to live in. One of my favorite parts of being an author is sharing my work and then doing the book tour and meeting readers and talking to all of you. That brings me so much joy and really refills my cup to like be by myself and troll and be isolated. That's hard, especially like I don't have a significant other, so like I'm alone when I'm isolated like that. And I have my phone calls, but it's not the same as being in person, and the energy is not the same as like being in person in front of an audience and like putting on some sort of a show of some sort. This sounds so stupid. I feel like this must sound so dumb to anybody who's not like a theater kid or a dancer or like anything, like all the stuff that I did growing up, like cheerleading and dance and stuff like that. I loved the sport, but my favorite part was the performance. I was like putting on the show at the end, and that is like a baked in part of it. And with writing, during the drafting era, there's a really long chunk of time where you're just drafting and you're not sharing anything you're making. I've just learned that I need a combination of the two. And YouTube really is that. YouTube is like I get to write and create, and I also get to share like pretty frequently. It's not like I'm sharing once every 2 years. It's complicated, man. I'm trying to figure out the life balance here of the two things my brain needs to be happy. I've told my publishers that like if anyone in the area ever needs a moderator, like I'm happy to do that. I love interviewing people, and that's a really great way to meet new authors, because that's another thing. Like I've been trying to make author friends, and it's just happened organically now that I've been doing this for a while. Like I put out my first book in 2019, so it's been 6 years, which is wild. And when I first put out my book, it was like there was this whole stigma around me because I came from YouTube. People didn't think that I actually wanted to be an author or wanted to be a writer, like that I was just doing this for shits and giggles because I had a platform, when really like I always wanted to write. It's always been my thing. It was hard at the time when this wasn't like normalized to accept that somebody wanted to both perform in front of a camera and write books behind a camera, you know? I feel like we've really I love that we've really come around to accept that humans are more than one thing. We can be vast. We can have many passions and we can pursue many passions. We can be good at more than one thing. I think that was also something that we imposed on a lot of internet people back in the early YouTube days. Did I answer the question, why did I leave YouTube? I didn't think that I did. I have a podcast called Those Forking Fangirls that is also on YouTube that I upload every single week. It's youtube.com/@thoseforkingfangirls. It's a podcast where I talk all things nerdy, book, TV, movie, everything nerdy pop culture with Natasha. So we have like pop culture news at the top of the show and Taylor Swift news. Then we do what we're reading, what we're watching, and then we talk about our main topic, which lately has been like The Summer I Turned Pretty. Taylor Swift is engaged. The Life of a Showgirl is coming out. Beating the undateable males epidemic. It's every Friday. If you haven't followed us yet on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast, we love that. We have a Patreon, and on that Patreon, we have 3 tiers, and at the bottom tier and up, you get Fangirl Tea Time, which is our extra half-an-hour show attached to the regular show every single week. And that is like story time about what's happening in our lives. If you've been interested in any of that, there's literally 118 episodes. If you want to become a patron, it's patreon.com/thoseforkingfangirls. There's so much content, you guys. I've been making content just in a different form, and I love the podcast community. It's been so nice in the absence of being able to be here every week with you guys, to be somewhere every week. After Book Explosion ended, it was really nice to pick up like another team sport. Again, so much of my work is isolated. Another question I have on here is like, do I like being an author? I love being an author, but I also love being part of a team. Book Explosion was a 10-year job where we got to work doing some of our favorite things as a team, me, Kat, and Jessie, and I will forever be grateful and treasure those times because we got to do events together and do friendship things while we were working, and it was amazing, and I'm absolutely loving being able to do that with Natasha, with Those Forking Fangirls. There's more to it than just like what the main discussion is every week. We always have TV, movie, book news, and I love that. So if that's something that you love hearing and being kept updated on, we will update you every single week if you follow the show. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of stuff. It's just not on this channel. Even so, I've been posting shorts on this channel. When people are like, where are you? I'm like, I literally posted a short yesterday. Have you ever tried acting or something more in the industry? I've done improv. Acting is stressful, like more stressful than any of the other things I like to do because you have to audition constantly. And putting myself in the line of fire of like rapid judgment by someone else really gives me a lot of anxiety. I'm working on it. I've been doing therapy for a while now. I've actually like stopped because I've been much better at being able to deal with my anxiety because I have all these different coping mechanisms from all the therapy and all that stuff. Like I'm open to acting, but like I'm 35. My family still, whenever I see them in person, like not my immediate family, but like my extended family is like, when are you gonna be on TV? When are you gonna be on Saturday Night Live? And I'm like, I'm not working towards Saturday Night Live. I'm on the internet. I'm a writer. I'm an author. I would love to work more in the industry on the writing end. Scripts. In the future, like a huge goal of mine is to make any of my things into something visual, whether that be a movie or TV show. Like I admire what Jenny Han has done so much. I'm just so proud of her. We've watched from the very beginning of Jenny Han's amazing writing career in the YA book sphere. Why can't I say sphere? We've watched her explode, and everything she's been a part of has been so good, and that's so rare. Watching the trilogy All the Boys I Loved Before come out on Netflix was an amazing, spectacular experience. I was just so happy for her every single time, and now The Summer I Turned Pretty is a phenomenon. It's so good. It's so fun. I watched those episodes multiple times. The episode that I saw that she had directed, the Conrad episode this season, oh my god, it was perfect, and I was so fucking proud when I saw her name come up as the director and the writer, and she's one of the executive producers. Slay! Jenny! Oh my god! To have that sort of journey with your work is so cool and so admirable, and I just hope that I get to do just anything in that realm with one of my pieces. one of my books. I'm going to keep pushing for those opportunities because that's one of my life bucket list goals, to work in the industry in that way. How do you deal with the isolation while writing? It is hard. I've put rules in effect for myself now. The big one is, like, I can't be a hermit until we're 45 days out from the deadline of the first draft. And then I could be like, okay, I can't do anything because I need those 45 days. But before then, I have to let myself live. 2, I have a dog, which has helped me immensely. I really don't know where my mental health would be if I didn't have Bellamy. He gets me out of the house every single day. He's had me make friends with all my neighbors, so I always have people there that I chat with on my walks. I'm close friends with one of my neighbors. We walk together. It's great. Getting a dog will change your life if you have a hard time meeting people outside of your house, especially if you live in a neighborhood where there are houses and there are other people walking around with their dogs. And 3, call people on your breaks. You have to call people. Use your phone to connect with humans, okay? It's still hard. I work the fastest when I'm under pressure, and the best, honestly. The story breaks free in that hot pressure zone 45 days out. And I will write every day, or try to write every day leading up to then, but like, it's kind of a roller coaster. Like, you never know when inspiration is gonna strike and stop. I wrote 80,000 words in the 45 days home for, I think, all my books. I think all my books have really been written in the 45 days out zone. How's Bellamy's anxiety been since the training course? Now, if you haven't been here forever, you might not know that my dog had really bad separation anxiety. So bad that I couldn't leave him in the house because he would howl and all my neighbors would be disturbed because it would never stop. It was very, very sad. But yes, I used a dog wizard. We did some very intense training and he is so much better now. So I'm so glad that I did that because it's literally like changed my life. I can leave the house. I can leave him home for like 5 hours at a time. He's sleeping over there. What was the hardest part to write of your new book and how long did it take? So now I've written 5 books and I've assessed that it takes me approximately 4 months to finish a novel from start to finish. And I'm gonna tell you, the first 3 months are mostly me writing Act 1, and the last month is rewriting all of the rest of the book. And that's just how it goes every time. That's how I write. I find the characters through the first act, and I'm not just writing it one time. I write the first act like 100 times. It feels like 100 times as I try to like figure out exactly how I want it to start and build the narrative. And the first act is so important because it is the foundation of the rest of the story and all of your characters, and it forms the bottom point of where they will arc. And if they're up here, they don't have as much of an arc. You need to make sure they're down here. And I have trouble making my characters start down here. I feel so bad putting them down here. But that's where they have to start, down here. So they can arc all the way over here. We don't want a shallow arc. We want a nice rainbow arc. The hardest part of book 4, I'm assuming you're talking about book 4, 30, Flirty, and Forever Alone, which is my pride and joy. I love this book so much. It comes out January 1st and it's available for pre-order now. It is my first technically adult rom-com because she's 30. And the hardest part to write was the break into Act 2. It is my favorite scene in the book now, but I wrote it, I kid you not, like 30 times. And I'm not talking like an edit. I wrote it like 30 different ways. And I finally cracked it and it felt so fucking good, but I was working on it for like a fucking month. Every book I have a scene like that. The fire scene in Attached at the Hip, if you've read Attached at the Hip, it's the cave scene. That one was my hard part for Attached at the Hip. I wrote it 100,000 times as well. I know, I don't think I had a scene like that for book 5. I mean, I have a section and it was the break into Act 2. You know what? It's always the break into Act 2 that fucks me up. I haven't told you about it, but I have book 5. The first draft has been sent in. I'm waiting for edits. When will there be a new siblings video? I really hope that this year over Christmas break, I can film a new siblings video. That is one of my big goals. So much has changed. We're due for a new video. I usually do every 2 years, and the last one I filmed, I think, at the end of 2022. So we're coming to the end of 2025, and my sister is now married. She's going to have a child. I'm gonna have a nephew. My brother is now 26. Like, we're so due. I really hope that I can corral my siblings into filming sessions while I am home. If there's one video series that I'm so grateful that I continue to do over the years, it's the siblings videos. I would recommend that you do them too. If you're out there and you have the opportunity to do something like that, it is the modern day photo album for me. Like, not only do you get to see pictures, you get to hear where they are in their lives, what they're thinking about, how they talk, what we laugh about, our memories in those moments. I love the sibling tag. Max. What made you decide to move from YA to adult with Tafafa, 30, Flirty, and Forever Alone? Available for pre-order now. I feel like this has been the natural graduation of my writing for a long time. I think another one of like the things that I like to do with my work is like concentrate and hone in on a certain year of life. Like for Again But Better, it was 20. And then for Better Together, it was like 21, 22, 23. It was those years like when you're exiting college, becoming an adult, right? Like those internshipy years where you're not being paid to work yet. For Attached at the Hip, it was 23. It was like post-graduation. I've been trying to like edge myself from the very beginning into like this new adult age. I never wanted to do books from the POV of a teenager. Everything that I've written, no one wanted to call it YA at first. Everyone wanted me to make the ages younger. For 30 Flirty, I started writing this when I was 33. Again, it was like all this built up frustration that it doesn't feel like that in your 20s. Like I couldn't keep the age younger than like 27. You know, I think these feelings really start to hit at your late 20s. The hopelessness that you have with dating because everyone around you is married. That's really the key ingredient here. Everyone you know is getting married. And that really forces you into an existential crisis of like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why can't I figure this out? And that's the headspace she's in at the beginning of that book. And I had a lot of fun because I was so close to that age. Like I really was right in it. So it was easy to tap into all those emotions that you're having at that time. I've been to like 50,000 weddings in the last 8 years. Exactly 50,000. I've maid of honored 3 times. So it was really fun to be able to channel all of those experiences into this book. How did you befriend so many creative people? Just being in the creative world for so long, you start to make friends. And I am a person who is slow to trust people and bring them into like my friendship circle, but just being on YouTube for so long, going to these conferences, I would make friends, and then we'd see each other enough times that I would trust people, and they'd become friends. But maybe you're talking about like the friend group that you're seeing in like my photos on Instagram now. That friend group of creative people came through Natasha. I had met her friends slowly at events since 2021, and each time, every year, I get like a little closer to them, and they become closer friends. And now I love these women, and I trust them, and they're amazing, and we hang out at least once a month. Natasha starts something called Women's Group where we all meet up and have conversations about like a deeper topic and talk about our lives, because a lot of times when you're in a group with so many people, especially content creators, we're at events and stuff and we're not talking to each other about our lives. We don't get a chance to. We're like more talking about like whatever we're watching and the atmosphere and like the content we're making, and this gives us all a chance to just be with each other and learn about each other's backstories. It is crazy now at my age of 34 how many lives I have lived. You know what I mean? Like when you meet a new friend, you have to catch them up on your entire life when you're in your 30s. It's not like when you have friends in your early 20s. Like you have a little bit to catch up on. There's so many jobs and so many eras and so many different parts of you to catch up a new friend on. And like, so all these women are kind of new friends, and we're all during these women's group meetings learning about each other's past lives, and it's beautiful and I love it. Everyone's so layered. Coming into my 30s has really shifted my perspective on like all the older women in my life and how many lives they must have been through and how many I missed. You know, you miss so many of your parents' lives because you don't come into their bubble until they're like in their mid 30s. And I'm talking about like, you're not a teenager who's like aware of these things until you're in their mid 30s. You know what I mean? You're missing so much of their backstory. And once they get older, there's only so much detail that they can tell you unless they have a really good memory. Who was Bellamy named after and why? Yeah, everyone wants to know who you are named after. Bellamy was named after Bellamy Blake from The 100, the CW show. And he was named after him because he had curly brown hair, and Bellamy also has curly brown hair. Favorite winner and favorite season of Survivor. My favorite season of Survivor is season 20, Heroes vs. Villains, followed by season 7, Pearl Islands, and then season 8, All Stars, and then... Oh my god, I have to tell you, it's available for free on Spotify now if you have premium. Attached at the Hip is there to listen to the audiobook for free. You know how you get 15 hours every month? Oh my god, I was so excited when I saw this. And the audiobook is so fucking good. Brittany Presley is so talented. She does amazing man voices. She's so funny. So highly recommend, if you haven't read Attached at the Hip yet, go on Spotify and listen to the audiobook for free. All of them are actually on there now. Again But Better and Better Together are there too. The next two questions kind of go together. What do you love about your life right now? And your recent friendship seems so rich and complex and joyful. How did they develop? I talked about this already in my creative friendships. Like my friendship group out here has grown a bunch in the past couple years. I love that part of my life. I love that I have those women in my life and that we all do things together. I've never felt more community in my actual IRL life than I feel now at this point, which is a really beautiful thing. Not only do I have like my friendships with my neighbors and my friendships back at home and my friendships that are like long distance from college and close distance from college, but I also have these friendships in the creator realm that are so supportive and so beautiful as well, and it's really, really nice. Why did you stop doing your top 10 series of the year? I didn't. It's on the podcast. It exists on youtube.com/@thosworkingfangirl. Please go check it out if you haven't and if you were looking for that video, because it does exist. It's just in podcast format. I just moved it to the podcast. Top 3 Taylor Swift songs for Tefaffa. Album-wise, this is 1989. When I was writing this book is when I finally started to understand 1989. It's Midnights meets 1989. I'm so excited for you to read it. We've got The Prophecy. We start at The Prophecy. And then we've got You're on Your Own, Kid, Down Bad. After this 4th book, will you write more? Yes, I already have. And I am in the process of writing up a proposal for book 6. I mean it when I say I want to be an author for many years to come, folks. Does your new book have spice? It does. Which was crazy for me because I have such troubles writing spicy scenes, and it really was an exercise in letting that go writing this book. I thought there was spice in Attached to the Hip because that was the spiciest I had gone so far, but this is definitely the spiciest I've ever gone, and I feel like I'm getting less scared of putting it on paper the more I write and the more I read. I feel like I really delved into the romance genre this past year more heavily, and just like seeing other authors that I love writing these amazing sexy scenes makes me feel less scared of writing my own. Yeah, looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Or am I? Any favorite scenes from your book? Paris Take 2. I love everything with Siri and Dawn. And Rooftop Party. The reward where they have the barbecue on the boat. The other reward where they have the date on the boat where she dresses in that like fancy green dress. I love the cave scene. I have a lot of favorite scenes in Tefaffa, but I can't tell you about them yet. Will you ever go to Twilight Forks Forever Festival again? I'm hoping I will be there in 2026. Fingers crossed, guys. How was the process different this time writing a more adult character? It's just about getting in the headspace of the age of your character, because no matter how much you want to think that age doesn't matter, it fucking matters. Like, the way that you see the world shifts with the more time you've been on it. And when I look back at these relationships with people who are like 35 with a 20-year-old, it irks me way more now than it ever did then. Because then people tell you age is just a number. And like, in ways it is just a number, okay? But when it comes to your emotional evolution, it is hard to be at the same spot as someone who's just been on Earth 15 years more than you, because they've had 15 more years of mistakes to learn from. And it's just a completely different headspace. I would never want to date someone who was 20 years old right now. You're so fresh out the kiln at 20 that I feel like you can easily be molded into someone else's life. And I feel like that is the draw of people who do that, and it scares me. I could see how someone like myself at 20 could easily slip into someone who has a well-established life, and then you have not as much room to create your own life because you've already been fit into theirs. I don't know what I was talking about. How did I get on this like age gap thing? Oh, the difference in writing for a later age. The difference is like I'm just thinking as a 29, 30-year-old instead of thinking like I did as 23. When I'm writing a character younger than me, I like wind myself back to that year and what was truly the most important thing on my mind and the most prevalent worry in my mind, and then roll from there. It was just easier to slip into 29, 30 because I'm not much older than that. Which of your books do you recommend starting with? Oh, this is an interesting question because now I have enough books to recommend which books to start with. If you're a person that likes to pick up on Easter eggs, you have to start at the beginning with Again But Better. But if you're a person that's impatient and just wants like the work that I have that I think is probably easiest for you to get into and really fall in love with, it's Attached at the Hip. This is like watching a season of Survivor, and I know you've never seen a season of Survivor and you don't know that you would love it, but like let me show you that you would. Attached at the Hip. Again But Better, if you are college aged or high school aged or like in your early 20s, I think this is a really fantastic way into my books. Better Together is my heaviest book. This is like my Parent Trap if they were in their 20s. This is about a professional ballerina who hurts herself and now she can't do that anymore. She has to figure out what her life is now. And her sister, who is an aspiring comedian, is dealing with stage fright all of a sudden. They end up at the same retreat and then they switch places. And it's kind of like, it's that age where you start to realize like your parents are people and they made mistakes. And some of those mistakes were fucked up. You're in your quarter life crisis era. That's what this is. This is the quarter life crisis era. I like to make my books all super accessible, but I think it is the hardest of my books to get into because we've got two kind of unlikable characters at the beginning because they're going through really hard times in their lives. And last but not least, we are going to end with a irrelevant question. Christine, I beg you, what foundation do you use now that Stay Naked by Urban Decay is not available anymore? I don't use a classic foundation anymore. I use It CC Cream and I love it so much. So you have to apply this with one of those like bobble sponge thingies and make sure it's wet so you can get it evenly because it's pretty thick, but it has 50 SPF in it. It stays all day so well. I love the way it sits. I love the way it looks. Everything about this has been so great. I've been using this, I think, since I turned 30. How long has it been since Urban Decay Naked isn't around anymore? I've found that It Cosmetics makes really great products for like anti-aging and for skin that's like a little bit more mature than it was in your 20s. They also have a really great concealer by Under Eye, like highly recommend. I love this stuff. I love this shit. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for giving me your questions. Thank you for being curious at all. Like I said, I have a podcast where I'm posting every single week at Those Working Fangirls. I'm posting more consistently on Instagram at XTINEMAY. I would love it if you followed me over there. 30 Flirty and Forever Alone comes out January 1st, 2026. Look out for announcements for events. I would love to see you in person. I hope you're doing great. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know what you've been up to. It's been a long time. Thank you so much for supporting me in any and all the ways. Pre-order link is in the description. Bye!